Here we go.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Lazy Kitchen. Today we're doing a Korean inspired kimchi and egg soup. And for those of you who are new to the Lazy Kitchen, this is the place where we can still make an affordable, healthy meal even though we don't like to cook, we don't know how to cook, we don't have time to cook. And we're gonna do it under 10 minutes with all fresh ingredients. Three simple rules. Rule number one is lazy, so we're going to do some smart shortcuts without losing the nutritional value by using mostly whole foods, fresh ingredients. Prep time is going to be 10 minutes or less. In this case, it's going to be closer to 5. And we're going to do everything in one pot. So let's clean up, and whatever we use, you can throw in the dishwasher. Rule number two is affordable, thrifty, in the sense that we want to try to make a reasonably priced meal without sacrificing the nutritional value. Number three, very, very important, is healthy. I'm going to define a nutritious meal as a meal that's an all-in-one that has your protein, your complete protein, a good source of starches. Incidentally, since I have celiac, all my recipes are going to be gluten-free, most of them dairy-free as well, or can easily be modified to be dairy-free. And then we're going to have at least 2 vegetables, and that I find out is often where people really struggle to incorporate that with their meal. So let's look at the ingredients. Let me back up a little bit. The reason I came up with this slightly oddball recipe is because I'm getting a lot of requests from people to make some vegetarian recipes and something that's a little more ethnic. Very often they have teenagers that are environmentally conscious and they want to explore things outside of the traditional American diet, and so this is how this recipe came to be. Our complete source of protein today is going to be eggs, and in order to fit in a Lazy Kitchen quick recipe, we're going to use plain cooked and peeled eggs, and you can find those in actually the majority of stores. I happen to have picked those up at Trader Joe, but I saw them this morning when I was at Cub Food picking up the vegetables. A bag of eggs, which is I think 6 or 8 of them, is probably around $3. So a really affordable and still very balanced protein. The starch, we're going to use rice. And then again, in order to fit this into a 5 to 10 minute recipe, we're going to use plain frozen brown rice. The ingredients is literally just rice. It happens to come in a pouch like this. It was in the freezer, so you just cut it and put it in. I want to say a whole container of rice was between $4 and $5. There are 2 of them, so this is going to be between $2 and $2.50 worth of rice. The vegetables we're going to use, since we're still in the Asian inspired style, we're going to use Japanese style stir-fry blend, something I picked up at my local Cub. It was $1.79. I think it's got a mix of a few different vegetables ready to go. And then what's going to be another vegetable and also a little bit of a flavor enhancer is kimchi. And for those of you who may not be familiar with kimchi, it's a traditional Korean fermented vegetable, kind of like a kraut, but in Korean style. It's a little bit spicy, it's got a lot of flavor, so and it's salty, so that's going to add a lot of the flavor to our dish. Otherwise, the base of the soup is going to be plain tomato sauce. I picked this up. This is just, pureed tomato. It was $1.59, I want to say. And you're also going to need some broth. I picked up some really good organic bone broth. This is chicken bone broth, and I think a whole container was a little over $2. I may not need all of it. It kind of depends on how watery or how thick you like your soup. You can certainly play around with it. Today we're going to make this in the electric cooker. This is my old-fashioned 6-quart Instapot. You certainly can do this recipe just stovetop, especially if you have a gas stove like I do. You can have this boiling up in no time and literally ready to eat within 10 minutes. So let's get going. The hottest function on my particular cooker happens to be the saute function, so I'm going to put that on. And then I'm gonna start the timer. Ta-da, whoops, I guess that's the wrong button. There it is. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is just put your liquids. So I'm going to open my can of tomatoes. I was telling my staff that I was doing that, and she has an 18-year-old who's very, very smart and very worldly, and she was, telling me that that would be something very cool for kids that age, which I took as a real compliment. Very good. So that's just plain tomato sauce juice. I'm actually not sure what the ingredients are. Tomato puree and water. So I'm going to add my broth. And I don't like mine too thick, so I think I'm gonna add maybe almost all of it. I may just try not to splatter myself too much, but keep just a couple tablespoons for another dish later on. And because both the kimchi and the broth are salted, you probably don't need to add really anything to this recipe. Maybe a little more. Very good. Okay. The next thing is we're going to get these frozen vegetables that are pre-cut. Typically, if you have a really nice warm broth, they probably only need 10 minutes to cook. So I'm going to put those in right away. So that's an easy way to really add vegetable to your diet, is you get a bag of unadulterated plain cut vegetables. They have a nice mix. It even has a beautiful color. Very good. We're going to add kimchi. Ooh, that one's fragrant. Kimchi, nowadays you can probably find kimchi in the Asian food, ethnic food sections of most of your good grocery stores. I think this one was from Costco actually, and it's sometimes if we have time, we'll drive north of the cities and go to our favorite little Korean grocery store in Delhi and pick it up, but in a pinch, this one will do. Very good. And the kimchi was about, I want to say it was $5 for this, and we had used up almost 2/3 of it, so you can get probably a couple dollars worth of kimchi for this recipe. Kimchi can last in your fridge for a good 2.5 weeks, so you can use it as a condiment on salad and throw the rest in the soup one day. We're going to add our eggs. 6 eggs. It's kind of funny, for those of you who've actually gone to a real Korean restaurant, not a wannabe lazy kitchen recipe, they'll often crack an egg on their recipes, so that's where I decided to add that with the kimchi. So that's going to be a protein. If you need more eggs, you have someone use more protein in the household, you just add some more. And then cut this guy up. I'm going to add the rice. I have to say that I hesitated a long time using frozen brown rice, but every so often I have one of those weeks where I don't even know my name at the end of the week, and I suddenly don't have time to get some fresh groceries. So this is really a good hack. Still, it's better than picking up any old takeout on the way home because I'm starving and I don't have time to cook. So, voila. So 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I still have a few minutes to throw this in the recyclables and wipe down, put a few things in the fridge. You probably want to give it like 5 to 8 minutes if your electric cooker takes about that long. If you have it on the stove top, the thing would really be boiling by now. Mine is almost there, but since some of the food that we added was cold, it's going to take a couple minutes to get up there. So you just, when it's nice and warm, you just dish it out and Hopefully you enjoy it. I will see you for the next crazy recipe. Have a great day.